First of all, I would like to thank very much the Industry Sector Skills Councils for organizing this event, as well as continuing the initiative to organize and conduct this Sri Lanka Skills Expo. This is the third time that we are going to do this, and it cannot come at a more important and critical moment in our journey, in our education reform journey. So I want to thank all of you here for this initiative and for your support and participation in this extremely important, nationally important initiative. I also want to thank the Tourism Industry Sector Council, which is taking the lead this year in organizing this expo, and commend you once again for intervening on this very important matter. As you know, Sri Lanka is in the midst of planning and implementing serious reforms to our education system. One of the major aims of the education reform process that our government is undertaking is to diversify the career options available to our students in the education system. As has been mentioned by many people already, all those who spoke before me, as you know, in our education system, the career options that are available or the career options that are offered to students continue to remain very traditional. Right? We all aspire at one point in our life to be doctors. If we can't be doctors, if we feel, nauseous at the sight of blood or hate the smell of it, then we opt for engineering. If those two options are not available, then we might choose commerce. And if everything else fails, we fall into arts and humanities. And then if we fail, we enter the vocational stream. That's the kind of general pathway that is offered to our students, right? So whether you want to be a doctor or not, whether you have the inclination, the passion to enter the health field is not something we think about. Whether you have the passion or the interest in becoming an engineer is not something you would ever ask a child. You do well in maths, then you're automatically steered towards engineering. You do well in science, biology, you're automatically steered towards the sciences. The student's inclination, the needs of the country, the development strategies, none of these factors are taken into account. As a result, we know that although we have managed to achieve a lot with our existing education system, for example, ensuring that every child has a shot at accessing fairly good quality education. And I think we need to acknowledge the role of our education system, because we still produce the kinds of human resources needed to sustain a country. We have a functioning public health system, we have a functioning public sector, we have extremely talented, versatile engineers. Our country is functioning, right? But I think at this point we are not just looking in terms of functioning, but we are aiming to take our country to the next level. And to take our country to the next level, that means that our economy needs to expand, our economy needs to grow, our economy needs to diversify, and our economy needs to be more stable, which means that it cannot be it needs to be more resilient so that it can cope with external shocks, it can adapt to the rapidly changing global context, and it can be flexible enough to change according to complexities of the world that we are facing or the world that we are living in. So then the kinds of skills that a young person requires today are quite different to what was imagined 20, 30 years ago. For instance, even though we are all sitting here talking about education and skills and the industry, I don't think many of us can predict with a lot of accuracy about the kind of human resources that will be required, not even in 5 years' time. Technology is changing so fast, things are changing so fast. The kinds of human resources that are required are also constantly adapting and changing. So therefore, we need our education system to be able to equip young people with the adaptability, flexibility, understanding about the many options that are available in the world today, be familiar and comfortable with technology, all of these things, while also retaining within themselves a sense of humanity, integrity, good ethics, and what it means to be a good citizen in a democratic, pluralistic society. All of this is part of what we are trying to deliver through education. So this is a big process, a big reform that we've undertaken. It's complicated because we are not starting from an empty space. We are trying to reorganize and reform an existing system. So that means we need to understand what exists and also figure out how to get it ready to accommodate the changes that we are proposing. So there's a lot of work to be done. However, I'm not going to talk about all of those complexities. I'm going to focus on the skills sector and the vocational part of the reform process, which is I think one of the most important parts of the reform process that we are introducing. Just to get a sense of where we are at, as you all know, about 300,000 children enter our school system annually. That means at grade 1, we have about 300,000 students entering our system. Am I right? Yes. And of that 300,000, maybe about 40,000 can be accommodated within our traditional university system. That is the 17 state universities that we have. Even if we account for another 20, 30 or 40,000 who opt for private higher education or going abroad, that still leaves almost 50% of those who entered our education system without necessarily knowing or understanding what track they should pursue after the completion of their secondary education. Even more importantly is the fact that although 300,000 enter our system, we lose this section of this 300,000 after the O-levels. Our ability to translate from this very high level of access to secondary education to tertiary education is comparatively low. We are not making that transition as successfully as we are able to attract students into our secondary school system. So in that transition, we should be doing much better also. So there are two things that we are trying to address here. Actually, three things that we are trying to accomplish. First, retain, make sure that they don't drop out of the system. A recent census done by the Ministry of Education revealed that about 20,000 students drop out every year. In terms of a percentage, that's not very high, that's less than 1%. However, in terms of numbers, that's still 20,000 students a year is not something that we can be happy about. So we want to make sure that we retain our students in the education system, that they complete 13 years of education, that they complete 13 years of education with a skill and a vocation and an aptitude and confidence about what to do afterwards. This is our most important goal, that they leave the system with some idea about what to do thereafter, that they are qualified and that they also have the confidence to deal with what comes thereafter, that they are ready for the world of work, or for university, and also for dealing with the post-secondary world that they will have to interact with. The third thing that we want to make sure is also that we are producing the kinds of young people, or that we are developing and strengthening the human resources that can take our economy to the next level. That we are not just sort of staying at the same level, but that our economy is creative, our economy is innovative, our economy is resilient, that it's based on a solid manufacturing industrial base, so that we are able to withstand whatever shocks that are bound to happen, whether through epidemics or global conflict or trade wars or whatever else that is thrown at us. So it is for all of these reasons that these education reforms are absolutely a priority for the government. And in that sense, one of the major reforms that we are initiating is the introduction of the skills pathway into the secondary education system. What we are hoping to do from next year we are only launching the new curriculums for grades 1 and 6, but gradually what we want to do is that when a child comes up to grade 10, that there will be a skills pathway opening up which will allow all children, all young people to learn a skill in line with their aptitude, their interests, their choice, but also their capacity. That when they are making a choice about their career, they do it with information and they do it with awareness and with a sense of what they want to be and where they want to go. So rather than just being propelled by circumstances into a career that may not be of their liking or choice, we want that choice to be informed. And we want the young person to be part of that choice. So all students from grade 10 will receive an education in a vocational path, in a skills path. And post O-levels, there will be two pathways that are available to them, either to go the conventional academic path or to go on a vocational skills pathway. And they will leave school and either directly join the workforce or enter into higher education, also in the conventional academic path or in the vocational stream. So this is our design for education, the reforms that we are undertaking. So as part of that, one of the things we want to do is to familiarize young people with the kinds of careers that are available, the options that are available, to widen their understanding of the world of work, for them to be able to maybe gain some experience in a particular sector and decide, no, that's not what I want to do, this is what I really want to do. So to give them the opportunity and time to work in the industry. For example, say even if you think you want to be a doctor, we all think we want to be doctors when we are like 14 years old, I think, because that's kind of, ingrained, it comes into our heads from so many different ways. But then to actually go into a hospital for a day and see what it's like, to follow a doctor around and see whether this is the kind of career you want. To maybe work with, go into the industry, go into a hotel and see what it's like to be a chef, see what it's like to be a waiter, before you make that choice. To gradually be exposed to all of these things in age-appropriate ways and in ways that are, sort of gradually built up, so that when they are making their choices, they are making this with information and with some exposure. So this is a major aspect of the reforms that we are introducing from grade 10 onwards, where they'll be exposed to industry, exposed to the world of work. They will have exposure to the world outside before we sort of let them loose and say, now go on and build your lives. So in that sense, this kind of expo is absolutely the kind of initiative that we need, because it allows young people to come and see for themselves, to meet with our industrialists, to meet with our entrepreneurs, to meet with our startups, see what it's like, see whether this is something that they could be interested in, and be exposed to the many different career options that are available to them or to be inspired by all of you. This is really what we are seeking. And I really hope, Mr. Ukwata, that you can attract some of our best industrialists, our innovators, our startups to this expo, because we really want you to inspire our young people and show them the options that are available to them and diversify their ability to make or to be able to see the many options that are available to them. So this is incredibly important. It will become more important in the future when we also start introducing these in the school system so that they link it to what they are learning as well. So I thank you once again for this initiative. We will, as the government, we are fully supportive of this. Plus, we will be building much more of this into the education system so that there will be more such opportunities available. And we look forward to working closely with you in designing some of those programs and also designing the trajectory of those career paths that and for you to tell us also that these are the kinds of career paths you would like to see our kids learning about. So there's a lot of work to be done. This is from us a beginning, a new beginning, and we really look forward to going with you on this journey together. So thank you so much for this initiative, and I really, really hope that as many of you will participate in this and encourage as many as possible to become part of this initiative. Thank you so much.